Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 452 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the super big crew this week. We are out at MagicCon Vegas, and we got the whole Goldfish crew here to talk about our MagicCon Vegas experience. So we are joined by Tomer, probably better known as Budget Commander. We have unbanned you from the podcast, Tomer. We've had some past Vegas experiences. We're going to do some bleeping, but good to have you back, Tomer.
I'm excited to be unbanned, and it's so weird to turn to you and then see your face.
I know, isn't that weird?
Kind
of creepy, right?
It's kind of creepy. I can't talk about Phyrexian or else you actually will just beat me up.
Over here we have Phil,
Hey-o.
probably better known as Brewer's Kitchen. How are you, Phil?
Oh, very good. This is like the best week of the year, and too bad it's already almost over.
Yes, this is Sunday nights. This is after the con, but we'll get into that in a minute. In the back row, we have the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard.
What's
How are
up,
you today,
Seth?
Richard?
Doing well. Crazy weekend, amazing weekend. So happy to be podcasting with all of you live.
And then, of course, Krim, who is actually in his element today because it's like 8 o'clock at night instead of 1 in the afternoon, which is Krim morning time. How are you today, Krim?
I'm great. First off, since it's not 9 in the morning, you're only gonna hear wisdom from me. That's all there is. Because now I'm actually awake. This is really cool.
So we're going to spend pretty much our whole cast today talking about Vegas, MagicCon, stuff we saw at the con, cool plays, cool decks, all that kind of stuff. But before we get into it, a reminder that today's show is brought to you by Card Conduit, and Card Conduit's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. And if you ever get tired of all the hassles that go into buy listing your cards, Card Conduit lets you skip them. With their curated service, you can send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work on your end, you can use the sorted service and list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. And either way, you're going to get a detailed report with their results and a fast payment once the order is processed. And you even get another 10% off if you head over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, they're the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. And let's talk some Magic, and let's start by kind of setting the stage. So we spent this whole weekend playing a lot of Magic at MagicCon Vegas, and one of the first things I noticed, jamming I probably got in 15, 20 games this weekend, some huge amount over the last 3 days, but I found the meta was a lot different than the meta on Commander Clash that I'm used to. How would you guys describe the MagicCon Vegas or MagicCon meta? What's different between it and what we normally play?
I would say it's a lot more powerful than you think it was. I saw a lot of Jeweled Lotus. I saw a lot of Ancient Tombs. I saw a lot of Cradles, Gaia's Cradle. I saw a lot of original dual lands.
Oh, yeah.
So people blinged out their decks. I saw a lot of Dockside Extortionists. Smothering Tide is not something to apologize about. So people like to play high-powered cards. And, the decks weren't necessarily high-powered. It may have been Jeweled Lotus in the jankiest deck you've ever seen. But people are definitely playing with, expensive staples, which we thought would be more uncommon, but there was a lot of it.
I mean, we banned all the things that we would normally see, right?
Yeah.
So of course it's going to be a shock when we see these things.
I didn't see a Jeweled Lotus, but I definitely saw a lot of Smothering Tides. I saw one Risk 6 and I felt bad about it because we all agreed not to just pay the one, so they didn't draw a single card off it. And they were also being targeted because they were, had the Risk 6 on board, and they didn't really feel good about it. So I had to take it out, not because I needed to take it out, but just so the person would not feel so bad and we wouldn't have to target them anymore.
Why would they feel bad? They
Yeah,
have a
it's
risk
Mystic
study.
Study.
I know, but they didn't have it anymore, so then they could be left alone. But they were like, why are you targeting me? I'm not even drawing cards off it. I was like, okay, well, I'm paying one extra each time,
What about you, Phil? You play a lot of Commander on Commander Clash and in Germany. Is the meta here a lot different at the MagicCon?
Oh, here than in Germany, I actually, So I didn't get board wiped. I think that the biggest one is people don't play too many board wipes. The game doesn't get reset as much. I don't see any difference between a German or an American meta. Everybody got duels though. I don't know how they do it. They are on the reserve list. Somehow all the duels are here, I guess.
Yeah, that was actually the biggest thing I noticed too. I think I played at least 15 games, maybe 20 games this weekend, a lot of Commander games. I'm pretty sure there was 2 Wraths, and one, it was a Star of Extinction and a Blasphemous Act or something. Didn't see a Damnation Wrath of God. the meta, that was the biggest shock to me, is like people just build up big boards and like do their thing, and it wasn't constantly being reset in Wrath and having to start over, which was just like, and maybe it was just like the games I happen to play, so maybe that's not the meta as a whole, but that was the biggest difference. I also noticed a lot of expensive cards, which surprised me. A lot of like people playing Gaia's Cradles, even in their like kind of not super competitive decks, but just like random $800 cards in my like somewhat casual deck, which I was kind of surprised. And they weren't even proxies. That was the other thing I noticed. Like I ran into some people who were like super proxy, like all my decks are proxies, that's all I got. But then really in general, I didn't play against many proxies at all. I played against a lot of people playing really expensive real cards, which also, I thought there would be more proxies at MagicCon Vegas. Did any of you notice that? Like what was the proxy level like in your games? Because I was actually expecting more proxies.
I had a proxy deck, so one of my decks are just proxied at Selenia because I'm still building it. But yeah, I didn't see that many proxies. And I think also it feels like the people who are showing up to the MagicCons and paying a little bit extra to show up and everything, they probably are more invested, so they have like more expensive decks. Like it definitely seemed like people were building out a lot more than like when I go to a game store, because I go like pretty regularly, and the decks were definitely more casual at the game store and less pricey, I would say. And this one was definitely blinged out.
I saw very few proxies. Like the duels, the cradles, the mana crypts, those are all real. And like Seth said, a lot of them were just like just random janky decks that people just put them in. So it was kind of interesting to see that. But there were some proxy players, and some people like apologized profusely for their proxies. Other people are like didn't even care or mention. Like no one seemed to care or worry about it at all. And of course, if you played CDH, you know, they had big signs, proxies, no problem, right? Like so. In general, no one really cared.
Yeah, I saw somebody who had a crazy amount of galaxy foils. So his whole land base was just blinged out, universe style. Amazing to look at. I love different artworks and or like special versions. And man, they was like going to the museum. Every land they played was just, whoa, I gotta check this out. Amazing, yeah.
Whenever I saw a bling deck, I always asked them, I was like, is this your baby? And always they would say like, yes, this is my baby. I blinged it out and they wanted to show me it. That was like the main thing, is like, I want to show you this blinged out Marwyn Elf Ball deck, and it looked gorgeous. And every card was foiled in special edition. And I saw Kumano too, which was like, the person said it was like over a decade old, like that they were running this deck. So they blinged out every single card. And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
I got a question for you, Krim. People often say our meta may be inbred because we play a lot with each other. We have certain tendencies. How did you do against the field? What was like your general win rate? Did you feel it was like a lot tougher, a lot easier? What were your thoughts on the meta?
Anybody that asked me to play a game, they knew what was going on, right? So like it was very easy to understand that I was going to get aggro immediately, right? But I felt like I played against a wide variety of things. I think a lot of I remember when I go to these events that they don't have the same ban list, so I prepare for it. So I don't feel bad at all that I carned an artifact deck out, right? And that this is kind of like where I think that, I mean, maybe, I don't know, it didn't really feel that different to me, but I guess because like even though we lack some of like these smothering tithes, I still saw that a lot of people were still like, you know, like we still make up for it in other ways, right? With power of like our decks. And so I think like the fact that people just played like fast mana, all that stuff, it balanced out because they played with janky decks. And I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fun weekend. I saw a lot of sub proxies. I proxied random things. I proxied a random Bountiful Promenade and a 3 visits because I don't own green cards. So I had to proxy some random cards. And yeah, like Tomer mentioned, I think everybody kind of played with their baby. I think because we're, you know, content creators, people want to show their favorite thing against you, right? So I think that I got to play against a lot of people's babies. And I even got to play against a secret, Universes Beyond, all secret universes layer beyond deck.
Jeez.
And it was like hilariously fun to play against. So yeah, I had a great time. This weekend was awesome.
I got a question. How many times did you run into the same commander? Like I ran into randomly 2 Chatterfang decks in a row, and otherwise it was just every time it was a different commander. It makes sense.
I don't think I saw the same commander more than once.
Yeah, I don't know if I did either. It was very diverse what people were playing.
Which is nice to see, honestly.
I saw a few Bernards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bernard is a popular one, I think, this con. I have one. I played against one. Richard and I played against one.
The IHOP sleeves.
The IHOP sleeves
There
were
was,
awesome.
There were these MagicCon exclusives. IHOP sponsored the Creator Corner, and if you signed up early, you could get these IHOP Magic the Gathering sleeves. So I saw somebody was running like Bernard. I think it was Chase, which was a content creator, and they were running Bernard in IHOP sleeves, which was very cool.
I just only sleeve my commanders in the IHOP sleeves like that, but like the one thing I loved using was IHOP also gave out 1/1 counters.
Yeah.
Where the back of the 1/1 counter is a pancake with butter on it.
So one of the cool things that you kind of mentioned about being content creators is people want to show you their cool decks. Everyone's trying to show their babies, their coolest decks, which means we get to see some pretty cool and unique cards sometimes. So what were just like some of the coolest cards, not from your decks, but from other people's decks that you maybe hadn't seen before, hadn't seen in a long time, or whatever? What were some of the coolest cards you got to play against at MagicCon Vegas? Richard.
I learned about a card called Reconnaissance. It's a 1-mana white enchantment. You can pay 0 to remove a creature you control from combat. So the way you use it is you let damage apply. So you can hit someone and they can use it to give your creature pseudo vigilance, and then you can remove like your chump attackers from combat to save them. That card is cracked. We need to be playing it more. It's available in Moto.
When damage was on the stack, by the way. When that
That
card was
card
out,
is
damage was on the stack.
Yeah, but that card is really good, and you can do all kinds of like weird untap shenanigans, and like there are a lot of like attack trigger cards where you can just attack freely into whatever you want, and only 1 mana and 0 to activate. So Reconnaissance is a card on my radar now that I'm gonna try to play.
I recently found this one in my bulk, luckily. It only got printed once in Exodus, I think.
Yeah.
And it is a little pricey. Good thing I have it. I played it in the Nephilim deck, I think. When you get an attack trigger, that's one you should keep an eye out for.
You see any stuff?
Oh, did I see any? So I wish I could remember the name of it. So there was a guy who was working the event, like helping run the PTQs. And he was like, I got this Feldegriff deck. I was like, let's go. Is it a group hug deck? He was like, not exactly. So he was showing me his deck, and it was like the meanest deck I've ever seen. It was like playing full-on Stasises and like the cards that you were not supposed to play. But there was one card that was really cool. It was this old enchantment that I can't remember the name of. Maybe one of you know. One of you got to help me with this. So it was like a white enchantment that said, when you play this, each you and a target opponent get to name a card, and that card can't be played. And he said the idea is I like team up with someone else at the table, and we each name one of the other two people's commanders, and then we just lock them out of playing their commanders, and these two can't play the commanders, and we get to play the rest of the game. Does anyone know what this white is? A 4-mana white enchantment.
It sounds like a Droneth Magistrate with more steps.
Don't tell them.
I was distracted about the siren. I don't know.
Oh my
One more
God.
time?
No.
Nah. I don't know.
So, but that was probably the coolest card that I got to see, because I didn't even know that card existed, and now I kind of want to play it just to be super mean to people. But what about you, Tomer? What did you see that was cool or unique?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw cool plays, but there was nothing that like stood out to me. Everything was pretty standard.
Tomer's flexing. He's got the biggest brain.
I know.
He's a
What?
commander right
What?
now.
I don't know.
I already knew about all these cards.
What about you, Phil?
They
I
were
got
really cool
killed.
cards.
I got killed by a very funny card, and I had to pull it up because I didn't know the name. It's an Unfinity card called Starlight Spectacular, and it's a 4-mana enchantment that has Parade! Exclamation mark.
In front of each other.
Yeah,
it's
so
like a
what you
Thousand
do
Player
every combat is you line your creatures up in a row, and the first one gets +0/+0, +1/+1, +2/+2, and they played the Frodo Sam deck, so they had one Ring Bearer that got +0/+0,
Yeah.
so it's still at Scott,
perfect.
and the rest just crushed my face. Like it. First of all,
It's not
I
very
thought it
used,
was an instant or something because I thought, oh, that's a massive pump. But then I died, and it stayed on the board, and that might be actually very good. And it's easier to resolve than Cathar's Crusade, so that it's legal in Legacy and Commander.
And
How
it's
much
very good
mana?
Ring Bearer. It's like
It's
4
cool.
mana. 5 mana.
4 mana.
4
2
mana,
white
okay.
and 2
So a
colorless. It's
little
actually
cheaper than Cathar's
yeah,
Crusade.
it's a
I knew
good
what
tech.
it was, but no, it's very clever.
It's also funny. Like it literally says Parade! Exclamation mark as the ability.
Unsets.
Yeah.
What about you, Graham? You see anything cool? Different?
I saw a lot of cool decks, a lot of cool cards. Cool lines, but like the cards for the most part, Yeah, I had seen most of the cards as well, but yeah, like I thought it was like some of the decks, the themes I got paired against were really
Yeah,
cool.
the decks were very cool.
There was-
all right, let's expand
was-
this question.
Was there any hidden
what's the
There was
decks?
one
coolest-
card. There was one card.
Okay, go ahead.
I played
coolest
against.
decks.
I played this one dude. He had this like in his commander. It's a white card, and it's whenever another creature enters the battlefield, it's +1. What's your commander called?
Baragon?
Yeah, it's Baragon. That card is. Why would anyone play that? I'm just kidding. I just wanted to mess with Richard.
I got a story of Baragon for you later.
All right, let's
I have a cool deck.
Let's expand this question to just cool decks you saw. It doesn't have to be a card.
Yeah.
Tomer, what's a cool deck you saw?
All right, so there's German Gary Oak, George on
George.
Twitter. He has a cool deck that's helmed by Kenrith, and every single card in the deck, when he plays it, he asks the question, like a leading type of question, like who would want to gain life, for example, and it could be something good. Like one time he cast Benevolent Offering, which target opponent and you gain life equals the number of creatures you control, and then you also give them another opponent makes 4 flyers or whatever. So it could be good, but it could also just be Swords to Plowshares, which I thought was very, very cute. So it could be good, could be bad. Sometimes he would ask, do you want to play a game? I quickly realized that that's always going to be something bad, because like the third time he asked it, it was always bad. And then he captive audience somebody where it's like a big red Arachnos enchantment that like you have to choose a mode every single time. The first one is like you lose 5 life, each opponent gets like 5 zombies, and you have to like discard your hand, and it's like absolutely brutal. So you never want to play a game with him. But he waits until an opponent says yes. And then if they say yes, he does the thing on their thing. And if nobody says yes, then he'll choose the best option. But like, it was a very clever deck, and I thought it was very cool.
I played against him as well with this deck, and the ultra gimmick was, with my game at least, so his commander was face down, and he actually had 5 commanders that he shuffled, and it was like 5 colors commanders. And the thing is, if it's this deck, I played against him, and it was like a choices deck. And he just, as soon as he gets Ruberg, he casts his 5-color commander. Might be Kenrith, might be Garuga, Jarrod, or whatever the guy. It's a very funny deck. That's a good one.
What about in the back? Did you guys see any cool decks, Richard or Krim?
I met Joshua G.
Oh yeah.
If you don't remember, there was this one commander clash you submitted,
Oh
and we
my God, the
simultaneously, the legend, the man himself.
Legend.
Yeah, I met him too.
Yeah. So we chose 2 of his decks for the Commander Clash by accident. But he and his wife, Richie, were there, and we jammed a game, and she was playing Derevi Owls. And
I played against
every
him then.
card in that deck had an owl on it, and she went deep. There were like, the forests had a little owl in it.
Yep.
There were like these random cards that it was not like an owl type, but there was just like an owl in the art. I'm like, how did you even find these cards? But we traded notes. We compared decks, and we're like, oh, this is a good bird, and But I was very excited to see another bird player, and Derevi Owls at that, and the flavor was just so good.
I didn't realize that was the Joshua G, because I played against Joshua and his wife, and yeah, I saw the owl deck. It was very awesome. I didn't make the connection. He wanted a rematch for me because I had him on stream, and I had him on a video where I killed him with a Flash and Phage, and he was like, I need to play against the deck, and I just so happened to have Selenia, so we had the rematch, and he did get his revenge, so.
What about you, Krim? What was the coolest deck you saw?
So as I said, I saw an all Universes Beyond Secret Lair deck. And it was just fun to see this deck and how many of the cards synergized with each other. Like, it was a deck that was just full of a bunch of half measures. Like, there's Relentless Assault, but nothing to really, like, go infinite, right? It's just like, all right, cool. Well, I get an extra combat step. And it was just funny seeing, like, the football get used and all these things. So, I think that was, like, the most, like, interesting deck just because it was so funny. I had a good time looking at that. But I also had the privilege of playing against a first sliver deck that didn't play any slivers.
Was it the Astral Slide deck?
Yeah, it was the Astral Slide deck.
Well, if I played against that too, it was,
Yeah.
It was rough. It was a bit of a long game.
It would all lean on the back of just like a bunch of Astral Slides, so Astral Drift and Astral Slide.
Yep.
brutal.
I got to play against a really cool life swapping deck. That was probably the coolest deck I saw, which is just, we've seen life swapping before, but it's not something you see very often in the wild. It's one of those like janky themes like we do on Commander Clash sometimes. So to actually see someone like show up to a MagicCon into it was pretty cool. And it was just like trying to use greed and other effects to like get your life total owners like Evras to exchange life totals, and then eventually use like a Magus of the Mirror or whatever to like switch your really low life total with your opponent's life total. So that was a pretty sweet one. So
Who was the commander?
who was the commander? It was, oh god,
Selenia?
don't ask me. I played so many games this
Selenia?
weekend.
Was
It
it
wasn't.
an
I
angel?
wasn't Selenia.
Okay,
I would have remembered if it was
Okay.
Selenia.
Ah.
I don't think the commander actually got played, from what I remember. I think it was just like kind of honorary, and then you're doing stuff with the 99. But what about, speaking of cool things, what about plays? Are there any like memorable, like specific plays that stick out?
So many for me. I killed with Cauldron 2 times.
Whoa.
Not just once, but twice. And the first one was a Cauldron with a World Slayer, so that was extra saucy. Cauldron was my best
I'm the
performing
bad
deck.
guy.
I mean, I finished the deck. Actually, no, then it's 3 times, actually, because I don't want to spoil it. Anyway. But the coolest play against me was I had a Halar, which is like a burn commander, and I put a Dictate of the Twin Gods, which doubles all damage. And I went for a lethal attack on George, who was playing a different deck at that point, and he deflecting swatted me. And the deflecting swat didn't do just like the Halar damage, it doubled the Halar damage that I was going. So I got hit for like 48 damage from my own commander, and I was just dead, like overkill dead. It was hilarious. Deflecting Swat's a fun card.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh no, not Deflecting Swat, Deflecting Pomp. That's the one.
Oh, I was
Deflecting Pomp.
yeah,
Deflecting
yeah,
Pomp.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one.
I killed
Just
somebody with
redirected
a
the damage.
deflecting poem as well.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
For me, the coolest play, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but the last play of the day.
Your own play.
Yeah, it is my own
I
play.
tooted my own horn there. You're allowed. Go
I
off.
mean, play was mine.
Go off, Queen.
So the very last game, we played against some pretty good decks, actually. They were kind of popping off. And then there was a Crater Hoof, and they killed everybody but me, because I was kind of low-key with Mishra. And then I played Machine God's Effigy, copied their Chatterfang, so I got some scrolls lying around and some Warm Coil Engine tokens, just barely hanging on. And then they attacked me with Crater Hoof, but not enough. Then I played Cursed Mirror, copied their Crater Hoof, copied the Crater Hoof trigger, and just killed them out of nowhere, just low-key the entire game, and yeah, that was a pretty sick play. And it was the last play, so it's the most memorable. I'm sure there's been a lot of cool stuff. This one just was just in my head. Pretty sick one. Nice.
What about you, Richard?
So one of the many 3-hour games I played at Command Fest, or MagicCon, there was a moment where there was a Coveted Jewel that was cloned twice on the stack. So we had triple Coveted Jewel. So you came in with 9 mana and 9 cards, and it was getting passed around, which meant in the 3-hour mark, we had a grip full of cards. I had a Maria going. There was a board wipe at some point, so I put Baragon into my graveyard because I was going to Baragon back with a Maria. On my opponent's turn, they Rise to the Dark Realms, taking my whole graveyard.
Oh no!
Baragon and all humans. So like 15 humans from my graveyard came back with Baragon triggers, pumping they had a couple of flyers, and they just like one-shotted me with my Baragon with the Rise of the Dark Realms.
Did they have haste?
No, because he had a couple of flyers on board.
Oh, so it pumped the
One
flyers.
was I was at
out.
like 70 or something because of Soul Warden, but the Baragon triggers were too much and it pumped the flyers, and I got destroyed by Baragon and my own humans because I got greedy and put Baragon into the graveyard with the Maria.
I think for me, surprised I'm going to follow in Phil's footstep, because also one of the most memorable plays was one of mine.
Your old play.
Yeah.
Wow,
I was
jeez.
playing my fairies deck, and there's a 4-drop, and it like whenever you cast a spell on the opponent's turn, exile the top card of that player's library, and then you may pay the mana. However, I got paired against a mill deck, and then I ended up losing to the mill deck. But the point is, I got paired against a mill deck and a 5-color dragons deck, Dragon deck, and
Heck yeah.
I cast a spell on the Dragon player's turn, and the card that I flip off the top to exile was Nicol Bolas Dragon God, the only Nicol Bolas in the game. And for me, that was memorable. It's like, what are the odds that I still get to play Nicol
On
Bolas?
brand. Very on brand.
I was so happy I got to play a Nicol Bolas.
Richard, what bird massacre did you do?
I'm not tooting my own horn. I gave you the bad beats of Dynamo and Baragon.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I got some bad
Seth.
There's a couple games that really stick out. One of them there was a game that involved. Is it Volrath? Is that the like shapeshifter?
The one that puts an A to one and
Yeah, and it can turn into
Yep,
that.
yep.
It was a kind of a wild game where some person was trying to combo off with Mindcrank and Sir Conrad, which is like this weird, not exactly deterministic combo because if you take damage, Mindcrank makes you mill a card, and that triggers Conrad, but Conrad only cares about creatures. So if anyone mills a creature, then it repeats the process. So it's like this not really full combo, but sort of combo. But they were playing that deck and got shut down. But there was also a Murktide Bats that the Volrath player ended up copying and ended up like almost reverse engineering the combos of the opponents and killing them with their combos with Volraths, which was really cool. The other one that stuck out is we had a game where someone was playing Group Hug and had Howling Mine and Rite of Flourishing, and I was playing my Flibblethip deck, and someone else also had clones in their deck, and we ended up with 8 Rites of Flourishing on the battlefield. So every turn you were drawing 8 extra cards and could make 8 extra land drops. And it ended with someone played one of those random like a spell that gives a poison counter cards, and then playing a Hullbreak Horror in a 2-drop Pollen Bright something druid that like ETBs proliferates. And they had so much mana they just bounced it with Hullbreak Horror and proliferated the entire table out of the game up to 10
God.
poison all in one turn by surprise. It was like it was a pretty epic game. That was a good one.
That's sweet.
I mean, I got a bad beat story as well. If it's a cool play, it's usually you. If it's bad beats, it's cool plays for other people. So I got somebody stuck on one land pretty much the entire game. They went Soul Ring into Signet, so they got it started a bit, but then this got blown up, and at some point they go, land, Dockside Extortionist, cast the Commander Core Vault with like 20 treasures, kill pretty much everybody, and then, actually they just killed one person, the other one just passed the turn to me, and they had a stacked graveyard, so I go Sir Conrad into Bajuka Bog, exile the graveyard, would have been exactly lethal, deflecting swat, and no, still brutal. Just stuck on 1 mana, and then Dockside into the win. Ugh.
I got a good one featuring Krim. Krim is gonna brag about the story.
The bad beat story.
Krim is playing his partner. What is the partner?
Trin and Silvar.
Trin and Silvar. So
I got to observe this one just in passing. I came at the perfect time.
He was popping off, okay? He had a board of a bunch of humans, Xanther Necromancer, so when the humans die, they come back as zombies. He had another human to give his things hexproof and indestructible. He had a Cover of Darkness.
Yeah.
Give everything fear. So he has like this huge board, okay? So I untap. I Baragoned, okay? I call the Copper Coats, which makes a human for each creature that Krim has. And then I Horn of Gondor. So, and then I Mother of Runes. I have 1 flyer and I have 1 creature, right? He can only block with black creatures. So I Mother of Runes the creature. I'm sending a 50 burger at Krim to finish him. And then our opponent decides to Mazavith one of the creatures because he had stolen Krim's Soul Ring and he didn't want Krim to die. And then, of course, naturally, Krim untaps and like murders everyone. And like that was that.
I murdered you.
Okay, you murdered me, drained the table, and then 1 turn later, murdered the rest of the table.
Because the black-red Mishra drains everybody equal to the number of creatures attacking, and I had so many layers of defenses backed up, just because of, like, between all the indestructible, the phasing out, all of that.
That 50 burger was going straight
That
to your
50
face.
burger
Just
would've got-
kill Krim.
For those that don't know, Cover of Darkness, whenever you name the type, that creature gets fear. So that includes your opponent's creatures too. So I named humans, and Richard Baragon is a human. So that was a fun game, though.
That was hilarious.
Lesson learned.
You should have
Finish
died,
off
though.
Krim.
That was a win for Baragon.
but also he saved you after. So
But that was useless because I was at 2 life at that point.
Well, you shouldn't have let me have a Mishra. I will say though, there are no bad beat stories because all my losses I've been happy to lose. I got milled. I was so happy I got milled. My opponent exiled my library. I thought that was sick. I thought that was super sick.
Yeah,
It was an honor.
I got killed by a Lich deck, which like they can lose, went to 0 mana, but also they married me with a Redding Ring, and I played Manius Kalga, and I naturally draw like hella cards. So yeah, I kind of milked myself the best way it gets. Yeah.
We played against someone who like was like, oh, I mostly like play CEDH, but that's okay. We can play casual this time, and they like turn 4 combo killed with Mirror Phantasm and Marcel. Is that the commander that steals abilities from things in the graveyard?
Yeah, the great
Marcel. Yeah. Yep. So they like Mirror Phantasm, mill their entire deck. You got all the abilities from the graveyard. Had haste because they milled an anger, and just like combo kill the table. And the other people we were playing with are playing like very casual decks, so they look very sad. They're like, oh no, it's okay. Well, let's do another one. I'm gonna power it down this time. It's like, okay, let's power it down a little bit. So we jumped into another game with the same pod. Then we went turn 1, Mana Crypt, Grim Monolith, play my commander. Like, I guess that's like slightly less powerful than the infinite combo. But what did you think of the power level? Did you run into relatively balanced pods in your games, or did you run into a lot of games where it's hard to get the balance exactly right when you have 4 people who don't know each other?
So I've run into the problem that there's judges running around saying you want to play casual, challenging, or CEDH, or all. So in the beginning I said like, casual, because I thought we were playing casual Magic. But then I asked the judges, and they say, casual are precons. Fun fact, in casual, you get the people saying, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, everything. But then when I switched to saying, hey, I want to play challenging, I don't want to feel bad about combo, or like popping off. I don't care if you pop off. That's super sweet to see. Just don't steamroll the table. Estimate your deck. I think the people who say, yeah, I play a challenging deck, know their deck well enough to estimate how it is. And casual says, yeah, I play casual commander, meaning like, I guess anything goes. So day 1, I ran into the classic, this deck is kind of casual, and then tripped and everything. And then once I switched to challenging, it became actually very balanced and interesting. Yeah.
I think I managed to get lucky. All the pods were actually extremely well balanced for me. I didn't do any of the judge things. Like I didn't say casual, competitive, or anything. I just had people come up and ask to play, and I think very, very easily, all the games were extremely fun and balanced and interactive. I loved it.
Yeah, I only had one stomp where someone was playing Blanca, and they got a Stormkiln Artisan or whatever out. They played the Blanca, and they just popped off and grape shot us in like one turn. And we're like, okay. But aside from that, all the other games were just like, I'm playing challenging, I'm playing spicy, I'm playing casual. Like it usually didn't matter. I had 2 decks. I stopped playing birds after a while because I'm like, birds is too good. So I started playing Baragon. But even like in, the bird games I wouldn't have to work for. They're not like a stomp, right? It's like a very close game. And all the games I lost, I felt like I probably could have won somewhere. Like everything was super close. Like nothing was a blowout. It felt pretty good. Like just showing up and being like, I don't know, 7, challenging, right? And it was like usually fine. The table self-policed correctly, right? When someone was like, we had a turn 4 Ulamog, and we were able to fight that, and the game went for like 3 hours. They ended up winning, but that's because we kind of gifted them the win by accident. But it kind of balanced out. Like people were pretty good at like figuring out who the threat was and like working on it.
Yeah, the people that come up to you, I think, know our power level and how we play. So yeah, these games are usually very balanced. But
someone came up to me and like we started playing, and they're like, I took Soul Ring out of my deck because I wanted to run into the Commander Clash crew. And I'm like, we put Soul Ring into our decks when we go to events.
Awkward.
I was like, Smothering Tide.
I mean, I don't run any of those decks or cards, so like I was chill. But like I saw people turn 1 Soul Ring. Some people were running Ristic City. I saw a lot of Smothering Tides actually, and they were all just pretty much okay. Like I never had a power disparity at any of my games really. Everything seemed really chill and balanced. Like some games ended up being a little bit lopsided, like in the end, but like the cards themselves were all pretty much balanced each other. Nobody was going like super sweaty.
I met someone who pulled off the Tomer Dream, which was they told me the story about how in their play group they had a problem with one person who would put Ristic Study in all their decks. Yeah. So they made like a secret agreement with the rest of the pay group to all pay for the Ristic Study until they stopped playing it. And they did it for enough weeks in a row that eventually the guy took them out of his decks because everyone just like for weeks on end paid for every Ristic study, and he was like, oh, I guess this card isn't good anymore.
But
so it is possible to actually make that happen.
But it was the norm. It was literally the norm at all the games. I came across, I think, 4 Ristic studies. It wasn't that much in grand schemes. It was 4 Ristic studies, and each time, all I said was, if you pay for it, I will pay for it. I said nothing else. I didn't like shame or anything. Some people, said, oh, I can't pay for it, and they tapped out and they did something. I was like, whatever, you could have, but whatever. But anyway, it was never an issue. Like the person would draw maybe 1-2 cards maximum, and that was it. And then everybody was really good on paying it. Smothering Tithe, it's really hard to pay the two. It really is. The difference between that and Ristic is very different. But like Ristic Study, I don't think the person who played the Ristic Study ever walked away happy with it, And like, that's just the norm. It was the norm at the game. So it was like, wow, if only Clash was like this.
It's banned.
If only Clash was like this. I wonder why it was banned.
Yeah, my what is it? Esper Sentinel drew like no cards in our game.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like this guy definitely has a Smothering Tithe in his deck.
Yeah.
And he played. Like I got stuck in between 2 Smothering Tithe players.
I've been up against Richard's Smothering Tithe before. It was just like insane value.
This was terrible. So we were all paying for Krim's Esper Sentinel, and then one of our opponents had a Smothering Tithe. No one paid for it. Krim was popping off. He had like 18 tokens. I played the Smothering Tithe, and that guy was just sacking tokens because he was flooded and paid for all of my Smothering Tithes. I'm like, dude.
The only
That
Esper
was great.
Sentinels-
That was hilarious.
The only Esper Sentinels I ever got was like, we were behind and there was an arch enemy, so they purposefully didn't pay for it in hopes that I would draw into an answer, which was wild. And the other time was I like put like a sword and it was like, would you like to pay the 4? And they're like, no, I want to still cast spells, which is like valid.
So what did you guys think about the event in general? We've talked a lot about games and cards. Like this is our 3rd, 4th time going to Vegas in a row. I gotta say, compared to last year, it was way like night and day way better. Last year we actually made the best of like playing outside and it was really fun, but like there was space here and like it was so much better than last year. But what about just like the con in general? What do you think about the vendors and the cons and all the art and all that stuff? Like any cool experiences with any of that?
Yeah, this felt like finally like, yo, we have a MagicCon and it was super sick. Like the fact that now we are actually playing inside the con, which is pretty great. Let's not overlook that
and not
again.
running away from like the sun, like, oh, the sun is moving, we go into the shade.
The hall was open late, so the hours are super solid. So, for the night owls like me, I played a lot of like One Piece, I played a lot of like Commander. I played all of that into the wee hours of the night. I think because it opened until like noon or like midnight or something like that? I don't know, my noon.
We were asleep at like 11, by the way.
They all went to bed. They all went to
sleep.
bed. I kept playing into the hours and all of that. And like, it's slowly, like you're seeing all these setups. You see like the booth setups for like sponsors, like big, and like also for like big companies, like, whatever, sleeve stores, deck boxes, keycaps. Like you got to see clackies and you got to see all the booths and huge dragon displays, right? This is like the con experience that I wanted Magic to become, not just the boring, like, why am I paying, like going all the way super far to play on a fold out table in a very like center of a room kind of thing. So this is where I wanted Magic cons to go.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't care much about vendors or anything else but the Commander, honestly. There was Worlds, also we should probably mention Worlds. But also,
that was sick, by the way.
Sure, I played 100% Commander. It went so far that I tried to go to the other side. It was a huge venue, but I tried to go just to see everything. But like halfway through, I thought like, this is getting too much. And I turned around, went back to the free play area, so I didn't even see everything. It was so big. Cool if you like it. I really enjoyed just playing Commander 100% of the time. It's just, it's so good. Very good organized.
I spent 10 minutes outside of the command zone. Unlike you guys, I don't know.
No, you spent 10 minutes finding shiny lands in a ball.
I did a run. I did a run of getting like upgraded lands, but I didn't really go to any panels, didn't go to any of the talks, didn't really look at displays. We lined up to get a picture with the TARDIS to get the promo. Yeah. But other than that,
Wait,
we
you
were
got a
just
promo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Promo what?
Promo TARDIS.
TARDIS from
You got
Doctor
a
Who.
promo TARDIS card?
Yeah.
What? You didn't tell me.
I think you were out at lunch or something.
Yeah.
I think you might have missed it. Yeah.
Free stuff.
The command zone was large. There was never an issue finding a table.
Yep.
Right? We had no problems finding tables. We played there all day, every day. And like Krim said, they opened the hall late. So it was actually perfect, right? And you didn't have to pay extra to go in the command zone. It was included. There was IHOP that gave free coffee there.
And free water was really
there were lots of fountains and stuff.
Yeah, but like people were coming to, like people dropped actual bottled water at our table, be like, stay hydrated, from sponsored by IHOP. And I was like, oh yeah, it's sick.
When did you guys find out about the free coffee? Because I spent a lot
Day
of money.
one.
Oh my god, why didn't you tell me?
Because they didn't ask.
It was right at the creator booth.
As mentioned, I was just in the command zone. So at some point today, actually, I noticed that I can get coffee under $5. Actually, free coffee the entire time.
And there's no issue finding games. So we obviously were able to find games easily, but they had people scouring the floors, setting up pods like the entire time. Like you literally had no issue finding a game.
Yeah, you go to the staff and they would say, like, we're missing 2 people. Can you find 2 people? And they'd have like a big sign and they'd walk down the aisles. They'd be like, looking for 2 more, casual. It's like,
they'd walk around like, oh, you looking for a game? You looking for a game?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it was
That
actually
was
really
a
good.
huge upgrade too. Because in the past, I've been to events like a couple of years ago before they started doing that, where you could definitely tell people like wanted to get into game, but maybe weren't confident enough to like go up and talk to strangers, or it's less awkward if you don't know the people. So it was a huge upgrade to just have the staff members like roaming the floor, setting up games, because it seemed like everyone was like being able to play as much as they wanted to. You didn't see anyone sitting off in the corner, like, you know, trying to find someone to play with and not having success. So that was a huge upgrade. Did you go upstairs at all? One big complaint I heard from several people, and this one, Krim, I'm curious what you thought of it. Smoky, way too smoky. I had several people be like,
upstairs?
Yeah, because I guess they had like Worlds was doing smoke machines.
They do. Yeah.
Wilds of Eldraine display was doing smoke machines. Game Nights was doing. I guess it's on theme for Vegas, the last bastion of smoke in the United States. But like seriously,
there's no windows, obviously.
Yeah, it's a convention center.
Wait, you couldn't smoke there, right? It's
like smoke machines. Yeah, smoke machines spreading smoke everywhere. Did any of you venture up to the upstairs area though, where they had like Worlds and like the displays? They had an absurd amount of
They had
artists.
Game Nights Live too.
Yeah, they had so many huge artists up there. Like this was one of the biggest artist rows I've ever seen. Game Nights Live was absurd. I didn't actually get to stay and watch it, but I walked through when they were doing it, and it was like overflowing and everyone was cheering and going wild. Like I was, kind of blown away just how into the live show people were for Game Nights.
Artist Alley was like, it actually felt like an artist alley, not like one of those like the really depressing artist alleys before. It was it was beautifully set up. I thought the upstairs area was really cool. I am curious how it felt for some of the vendors, because it was kind of split. Some vendors really hated it because some people didn't even know there was an upstairs area.
Yeah, it's not like really well advertised.
Yeah, like I was up there for a good chunk of like I guess day 1, because I was at the Game Nights booth, and then right there though, like up there, like you got to see some really cool stuff. I thought like up there was like most importantly, I want to talk about Heritage Auctions. That booth was the coolest booth ever because I got to see a slabbed X-Men #1.
What?
A slabbed X-Men #1.
What's an X-Men?
Yeah. It's just an anime.
There's many.
It's
there's
like
multiple of them.
Think King of the Hill. Think King of the Hill.
I thought it was just
Like
one
King of the
X-Men.
Hill.
Yeah, just X-Men, King of the Hill.
I know
same
what
thing.
One Piece is now. I learned that from
Yeah.
It's worth more than the 1-of-1 serialized ring.
Yeah.
All that.
Whoa.
Like this is I'm talking like it was like a 7/6 or something like that, and it was absolutely gorgeous. The front cover of this X-Men comic was still white, so like it didn't yellow away and all of that. So and they had a full sealed wrapped box of first edition Pokemon cards from the very first base set. So I just thought the things that I saw there was really cool. I loved it. And again, right, it just really feels like a con. And then you had like the preview panels of like Ixalan and all this other stuff going on in the background. Like this really was a celebration of Magic that I really enjoyed. So I love this. And then that's where I went to go to the dance party, I guess, or
How?
Yeah, it was the party.
So last night, Saturday night, we're like,
Oh, yeah.
we gotta go out. We're going out for this dinner after the event. Krim's going to the pajama party. He comes down and
Gengar.
Gengar.
Gengar, by the way, let's clarify that.
We're we're walking through this this hotel and past this family with a little girl. I was like, look, Mom, it's Barney.
Yeah.
And Krim, he's like, I'm used to it. No, I just ignore it. It's fine. How was the pajama party as Barney, Krim? How was it?
As a Gengar, like the amount of people that are like, is that Barney is unreal. The party was fun. It's one of those things where, again, how many times do you think in your lifetime you're going to see Elijah Wood DJ, right?
Well, apparently twice
for
you.
Right? Yeah. It was just the idea that I got to see Elijah Wood DJ. And I'll tell you what, Magic players, y'all know how to dance. Y'all know how to dance. I don't. I stand off to a corner. But legitimately, Magic players know how to dance. I watch people get down on the floor, and I was like, whoa.
Did they all wear pajamas?
Yeah, there was some people that there's good people.
Where did everybody get these? Because
there
weren't like, I was thinking like my regular pajamas, which is like an old t-shirt and like some baggy pants. But everybody's in like these full like suits and stuff.
Yeah, they've got
like,
silk robes. Like I saw I found other Gengars while I was there.
Barney's
Barney.
Get your pajamas.
My illusion.
You gotta ham it up. You can't just roll up in boxers.
Yeah,
boxers, no shirt.
What's up? Like,
I'm
that's
going to
how
bed.
we roll. Like,
but yeah, like the party upstairs was fun.
and the mix was better this time because I went to the Barcelona one and I remember the music was good and then Elijah Wood went on stage.
Yeah,
and it was.
The music
was,
that he
and then it became good after he left.
Yeah, it was less than desired, but this time it was a lot better. I will say though that Barcelona was popping harder though, because difference is that I think you had to pay like $60, $70 to get into this one. Or something.
Yeah, that's because we didn't go.
Yeah,
by the way,
if you can go for free, obviously it's gonna be popping, right? Yeah. Or if you're invited, but yeah.
Oh. Also, Watsy, give the Black Lotus people invites to the party. Whoa. That's one complaint I heard from several Black Lotus people. Was like, I bought the Black Lotus ticket, and then they want me to pay another $60 to go to this party, so I'm not going. Like, so that could be something worth considering. If you buy like the Black Lotus pass, maybe you just get the party ticket too next time.
I remember
the Black Lotus pass creators, those people. I think because like last time at Barcelona, the party was like packed to the brim, right? But this time, because Black Lotus passes, creators had to pay all this other stuff, and $60 on top of your ticket anyways already, kind of just was a natural deterrent. Right?
And I remember they were talking about how last time Black Lotus, like people who paid a lot of money, were disappointed about what they got. So I would have thought this would be like the easiest way to give a little bit more value to your badges.
There's a bit of I don't know how they cracked the Black Lotus thing, because I think there's a bit of the old Command Zone problem where the other things Black Lotus people told me is like, I really wish my friends could be with me. Like, I get the Black Lotus pass and then I go to like the Black Lotus lounge and it's cool and there's like drinks and stuff, but I'm just like by myself and all the people I want to see are not in here. So I'm like, why did I buy the Black Lotus pass? Because I got to go out there to see everyone anyway. So I think that's one part that could be tweaked in the future, is maybe like, I know they're iterating on it still, but maybe there's some way to improve the Black Lotus experience more, even though I know I think it's better than it was a few cons ago, but maybe not all the way there yet.
And give us a badge, Watsy. What was up with that?
Yeah.
Anything else about Vegas and the con? Anything at all that you want to get on the podcast?
If you see us, don't be scared to ask for a photo or signature.
Yeah,
I had so many people get like, I didn't want to bother you. You were playing a game. I'm like, I'm here for you because of you. Please just talk to us. We are very friendly.
That's a good question.
That's what I'm here for.
Are you personally cool with people interrupting your game? Because I've heard some content people be like, I want to meet people, but if I'm in a game, please don't talk to me. I've always kind of been like, don't, if I'm in the middle of like comboing off or something, maybe wait a second, but like, come up and tap me on the shoulder. Like, I can easily take a second to take a picture or sign your thing. You don't have to stand. I feel bad when someone stands there for an hour and a half, like looking like, forlorn, like, come on, please, like, end this game. And I'm like, no, just like, I'll sign your thing. You don't got to stand there and look like that.
I always said, like, as long as it's not my turn, like, if they come up to me and I'm in the turn, I'm just like, 1 second, just let me finish my turn. And I finish it as quickly as possible. I tap out and I'm just like, all right, done.
I'll sign your thing. I'll take your picture.
That's why y'all have so many. I never take my turn. I just pass. See,
let me take my turn. I have 18 attractions. Let me roll.
But then you might miss a counter spell.
No, it's fine.
That's the thing.
Like, it's easier when you don't cast anything on your turn. Then you get to talk to everybody.
I feel like most people were good with it, but I would always see like there would be like a couple and they'd be talking and like the girl would be like, you could just And I look at them like, yeah, like obviously you can know if they're looking at you. So I make sure I make eye contact and see if they're interested in like getting a signature or anything like that. And it's kind of cute. Like some people are a little bit shy.
If you wait for us to be free, you will never.
Nah.
See, because we're kind of just jamming games, and games are long, and then we're not.
Otherwise,
like we're in the
wait
bathroom
forever.
or whatever.
Yeah, just don't jump us in the bathroom. That's the only rule. If we're inside, you wait until we're outside. That's it.
But as long, like, even if it's our turn, you can come ask, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, just give me a second.
Yeah.
But if it's not my turn, then we can definitely sign and take pictures and things like that. Also, people are shy about asking for games.
Yeah.
Don't be.
Just ask, right? What's the worst? Like, it'd be like, oh, maybe I'm in a game, I'll catch you after.
Yep.
Or, maybe I'm not doing anything, let's play, right? So, like, don't be afraid to ask. At least we're chill. I don't know about other creators, but we're literally there just to play games with everyone for 24/7.
Meet people. That's it.
Yeah.
This would be a lot more useful if we talked about this before the con.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now
For next
remember
year.
this
For next
knowledge
year, yes.
and apply it 1 year from now.
Or the next MagicCon you see us.
Or the next Magic guy. If anything, I come away from it feeling bad that I can't get in more games with
Yeah.
people. I spent the whole weekend just
Yeah.
jamming game after game after game. And still, when I was like leaving the event, there's still people like, oh, I never got to get in that game with you. And I'm like, oh, I know. It's just so tough because Commander games are so long.
Yeah.
So someone comes up and is like, oh, can I get the next game? And you're like turn 3 of the game you just started. I'm like, oh, hopefully, sure, but that's like an hour and a half from now. And then by the time you're done, how do you find them? Or like maybe they're in a game. So if it doesn't work out, I apologize. I always end up feeling bad that I couldn't get in even more games with people.
I will also say a meta difference from my typical games versus the convention games is after playing like Control or like slow Dirty decks like twice at the convention, I just left them at my hotel and I literally played like just 3 aggro decks for the rest of my experience because I noticed that like there's so many people who want to get games in and there's so little time. And if other people are bringing control decks, it can be like 3-hour games. So I literally played my Galta deck, my Cauldron deck, and like my Halar Burn deck, depending on the power level of the pod. And that was it, because all of them are basically like, you can mostly tap out, it's very easy, and it just wants to beat down. That's it. We just want to smash. We don't want a long game.
Hi, I'm Tomer. Nice to meet you. Galta Double Strike. See ya. Okay, who's next?
No, the games are still like over an hour each usually.
I
but
mean, but you could just play control decks and then the fans get to really get the hits.
yeah, but like
experience,
there were so many people who were coming up and like, hey, can we get to the next game and everything? It's like, yes, I want to get the next game, but I'm here with a control mirror matchup, and I don't know when we're going to be done.
Wait, Tomer, you have a control deck?
I have multiple control decks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I have Toshiro. You know Toshiro. You love
Oh,
Toshiro.
right.
Remember
Control.
Toshiro?
Not like stack. Okay.
Oh, stacks. I don't know.
No, stack
Drago
control, like
control.
Drago.
Oh, well, yeah, Toshiro's Drago's control.
Okay.
So I have one last question to broaden it out a little more. How did this con leave you feeling about the current state of Commander as a format? We just spent a whole weekend out in the world with the community, seeing people's decks, jamming tons of games. We're kind of outside of our little like Commander Clash bubble where we're like every week we're playing in our own kind of like maybe slightly inbred meta for content. This is a very different experience. Like, did it change your opinion about anything that we've been like talking about, or your feelings about the format or any of that stuff?
Yeah, so we played one round here in a hotel room, which kind of broke Richard. So
I was not there.
we
by
had
the
a
way.
game that just went on for way too long. It got so complicated that we rounded up triggers like, it's 30 creatures.
close
I'm
enough.
not going to resolve this. At the con itself, it was fine. It was super fun. I play a pretty complicated deck, and I'm sorry if I comboed on you for like 10 minutes. That's kind of what I do. I like that. But it was actually very good. I didn't get stacks. Not too many counters, not too many board wipes. This might be wrong, but it's fun. So, yeah, I actually really enjoyed the meta.
I think I definitely walked away thinking card draw is a little bit too strong these days. And I definitely want more ways to punish card draw. Like, actually, Orcish Bowmasters, totally fine.
No.
But, like, I want more variants of that maybe don't slow down the game. Like, just, like, whenever you draw your set, like, whenever people are drawing cards, they take extra damage or you drain them or something like that. I feel like there's a design space for that because like every single game, we were all drawing like every single turn was like draw 5, draw 5. And it does slow things down because you have so many options and then you're like thinking about what's the best option for whatever situation. And it does slow it down. I wish there were a little bit more ways of answering out of control card draw, which just it feels like everybody has now.
That and tutoring. There's still a lot of tutoring.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's a lot of tutoring still.
It was more just like Beaver was like draw 5, draw 5, draw 5. Hold on, let me see. Oh, move down to discard, and I have 15 cards in hand. And it's like okay. Well.
Credit Tower.
That's why you just if we get more draw punishes and I
want it.
I want it as well.
Bring on the Bowmasters. It's
more
it's
tutor punishes.
More tutor punishes.
Tutor punishes are fine.
I don't know about the tutor thing. I think that's fine. And just to be clear, if Fotsy is listening to this, I'm not talking about hull breachers and notion thieves and Narsets.
No.
You tried to make card draw hate, and you absolutely made the worst cards that were in existence that are actually combo pieces and not card draw hate, and they're miserable. Like, so to do what Tomer said and like do
Just
fevered
passively
visions
burn,
or something, something that like
Burn them.
hurts you if you draw too many cards or something. Not like I'm gonna combo off and no one has
We're
a hand.
very
and-
happy when Shieldred hits the board.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Well, you know what? Actually, now I'm gonna start adding Shieldred. That's a good idea.
It's a good card.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna put it into Shira. Actually, that's a good call. Actually,
I
that's what I wanted.
actually walked away thinking that we are very correct about the meta and Fog is the future.
Oh God.
People walk up to like, Richard, I know what you're doing. You're not gonna get away with it. An hour and a half later, they're like, how did Richard get away with it? And
See,
like,
it's not that easy, everyone.
it's not as easy as you think
Yeah.
it is. And there were some Fog blowouts happening at tables, and I don't know. I think our meta is actually like I don't know. Did you guys like feel like you got crushed in the meta?
You know what?
Oh, no.
I think I played against a single combo win the entire time out of like 15 plus games. I think combo is just not an option. So maybe
Sure it wasn't because you were comboing?
Yeah, I was comboing quite a bit.
no.
That's because you aggro them all
Culture
up
is not
before they
a
assembled
Culture is not a
anything.
combo. Yeah, I usually aggro them out.
I mean, yeah. I ran into some combos. I was able to
Yeah?
stop them though. So
Okay, maybe it was just me, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe people don't like combos that much, or that was a small sample size.
I saw a few. I saw a few
a
combo
few
decks, but it
pretty much
wasn't
just
like
maps it, yeah.
super popular. It was mostly people trying to win with combat for the most part.
Or burn. People liked burn and drain.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Blood artists.
Drawing your
I
entire
get burnt
deck.
out because I had a Platinum Imperion.
It's not a cool.
I hate my Bernard deck. It's sick.
All right, we're getting near the very end of the podcast. So everyone, one chance for a closing thought. Let's start with Richard. Richard, what's your final take on MagicCon Vegas or whatever?
There are a lot of bling decks. I don't know. I was actually shocked at this.
People are rich.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because MagicCon. Because like if you're gonna fly to Vegas, if you're gonna hole up in a hotel, you're gonna eat hotel food, convention food the whole weekend. What's a couple $1,000s between friends, right? Maybe.
That was not like my LGS. There was like everything. You needed shades.
Yeah, so
maybe,
I
yeah.
think even though we're casual at MagicCon, it's very much not like the casual crowd, right? It's I'm very enfranchised and I'm trying to play casual crowd. Although actually I don't even buy that. There are a lot of like first time players
I
or
was
new
gonna
players
say,
there.
many people are like
There
my first
are-
MagicCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were like Thanks, Tomer. There were like little kids. There were people that just brought a pre-con. There were people that brought a pre-con with a few upgrades. So actually, I don't know. So I think it's the enfranchised friends brought along other friends, and they all jammed. And I thought that was pretty cool. And that's kind of what Magic's about.
Krim, final thought.
I'm really happy that I load my deck up with interactions because I see y'all out there doing some nonsense. So I was happy to stop that.
yeah.
But on top of that, like, yeah, I think the other thing that Richard mentioned was that how many new people I saw. I think that was really cool.
Tomer, what do you got?
So if you go to this specific convention, if they host it in the same place, highly recommend Siegel's Bagel Mania. I've been literally, it's my
is good.
fourth time going there. It's like a 10-minute walk away from the convention. Really good brunch food, breakfast food, and I recommend the Briss sandwich with egg bagel.
It was good. Very cold though. The AC is kind of cranked up.
No, it was fine.
No, oh God.
It's so good.
Phil, final
Get the
thought.
Briss.
Magic is the most fun game ever. No contest. That's just my takeaway.
I would say, like, if you get a chance and you can, afford it and its logo, check out a MagicCon because it's actually like a super fun weekend. One thing I heard from a lot of people was just like how much they enjoyed the community that was there. Like how everyone was so like welcoming, wanted to play with them, was nice to them. So if you're one of those people who's never been to a MagicCon, I think it's something that's worth checking out, and you're probably going to have a really good time because the community is like super good about it. So yeah, if you get a chance to check out a MagicCon, check it out. But anyway, I think that brings us to the end of episode 452 of the MTG Goldfish podcast.
Wait.
P.S.
Bring your own vegetables. No places, no restaurants here have vegetables. And if you like, I swear, I think Nevada has a statewide soft lock or like soft ban on vegetables.
There's nothing green.
Yeah,
in
like
Nevada.
it's fried. It's always fried. I love fried food, but I just want a vegetable. Just like any. Just show me that it exists.
The sugar-coated Brussels sprouts weren't good enough for you?
Please, just show me
good.
a simple like head of lettuce or something like that, and just that it's real, that it exists here. Okay, that's all I gotta know.
It is a desert, so
Yeah,
maybe it's hard to
yeah.
find it.
But there's not exactly fish yet. We have sushi, so.
Anyway, bring your vegetables. That brings us to the end of today's cast. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we'll be back next week with a more normal cast. We'll be back home talking about probably some spoilers that came out and whatever else goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, have an amazing week, everyone. And this is a crew signing out.